I did that on purpose. Hi, everybody. I'm Timmy Williams. Good night. That didn't really work. What's up, everybody? This is kind of an experiment, but also something that I feel like people kind of wanted me to do, and also I wanted me to do, because every time I stream in any other sort of pretense, it ends up being me talking about the stuff I want to talk about here. So, fucking A. If you don't know what this is, neither do I. But my name is Timmy Williams. I'm from the sketch comedy group, The Whitest Guys in Town. And while our animated movie Mars is paid for and is finished and being submitted to festivals and stuff, we're still streaming because we like you guys. And if you happen to throw any money our way, it'll probably just go towards, like maybe adding some glitter to the different frames of the movie or something like that. I don't know. But maybe we'll get Pauly Shore to redo all the voices. Depends. Anyways, but this is for fun. I'm going to do this for fun. And so, it's when you have different mental issues, anxiety or whatever, I'll start serious and then we'll see if we stop being serious. But it's easy to always find reasons up here to the little anxious voices always find reasons to tell you not to be yourself or that you shouldn't be comfortable with yourself. And so one thing is like, okay, well, I was just always, I'll play games as an excuse to stream, or I'll do this, or I'll cook as an excuse to stream. But no, you could just stream and talk about shit. You can just fucking be yourself. So that's what I'm going to do. Which the last couple of years, myself has been a fucking movie nerd, So, hold on and hang on. 38 months. Thank you very much. I'm going to get some noties up here so I can look at when you guys do cool things. Anyways, but so, every time I stream with the guys or did up my own thing, or especially on Trailer Boys, obviously, because Trailer Boys is about movies, I go on fucking tangents about movies because I love to talk about movies. I've been learning a lot about movies the last couple of years, and I've been collecting physical media, mainly Blu-rays, for 3-4 years now, and I can give you an exact figure here because I keep track of it, because I'm a psychopath. Let's see here. I have a Google Doc. I currently have 356 titles, but some of those are box sets and stuff. So the individual movies I have are 522. So when I promoted this earlier today on Twitter, I mentioned I'd be talking about my Blu-rays, and some guy's like, why do you sell physical media? It's like, so shitheads like you aren't choosing what I watch. What's the difference between Blu-ray and DVD, nuts and bolts wise? Blu-ray has more of like a smooth, velvety, like crispy effect on the palate, whereas DVD has kind of a more intense, sour kind of note. I agree with Dr. Elam. Hey, Filled with Garbage just rated. Thank you, Filled with Garbage. But, yeah, I just like movies, and I don't have any, the other thing is with other streams, though, like when I say, hey, I'm going to play video games, or hey, we're going to cook, or hey, we're going to do Trailer Boys, like you have an impetus to start. There is no impetus here, it's just suddenly me, so. But yeah, especially, during the pandemic, I used Biden bucks to get a region-free Blu-ray player, and better speaker, better TV, and a bunch of Blu-rays and stuff, and kind of went from there. And Blu-ray collector, the whole kind of thing here is, I'm not going and buying like, I don't know, what's a studio movie from this year? I don't even know. Like what's a like comedy movie from 2023, for example. Okay. Let's see. Let's say Joyride, okay, which I haven't seen. I've heard it's actually good, but you're not going out and just buying like the cheap copy of Joyride you see at a truck stop, for instance. You know what I mean? It's like you're looking for very, very cool editions of movies and a lot of times buying movies you don't know about, or maybe that nobody knows about. So Cocaine Bear, yeah, Cocaine Bear is a good idea. It's like, who cares? So it's more about like finding like cool shit and like stuff that looks cool on your shelf, stuff that you're excited about to see, stuff that you like, or stuff that you have never seen before. And I said I have total of individual movies 500 some, 300 some odd titles because of box sets and stuff. That's not even a lot, I don't think. But like the message boards I'm part of, there's people with tons, but some of them have more movies than they'll say they'll ever watch. Like recently, I just bought more because there's a lot of sales and because of October, because a lot of them are horror movies. So a lot of October sales and a lot of Black Friday sales. So there's a lot of new ones that I have. But early this summer, I managed to watch every Blu-ray that I own. And I mentioned that on the boutique Blu-ray Reddit thing. And some people were like, yeah, I have like thousands. I'll never watch them. It's like, you don't want to come down on how anybody collects things. But it's like, well, what? So you just have them? And, and then some of them don't even open them. One dude was like, I like the cellophane. It's like the cellophane is like shiny in some of these packages. I'm going to show a bunch of my movies later, but some of the packages are really fucking cool, So what? But, and Squirrel says, I get that. I definitely have more records and albums I've listened to. Okay. Well, and that makes sense too. And then there's the old, it's actually, at this point, I feel like it's been studied a few times but there's lots of places that say if you own more books, and you can see right there, look at all those fucking books. That shelf is newer, and those are just books I picked up at a used book sale recently, so that's just a fucking mess over there. But anyways, supposedly if you have more books than you'll ever read in your life, like it's good for your brain, But I don't know. Is that the same for movies? Do movies make you smarter the way that books do? I feel like maybe, I feel like getting you to, movies, even like movies that are seen as bad or good. We'll get to that later. But even movies that are seen as bad or something, and every movie was made from some kind of point of view. So I suppose in considering different points of view, yes, you can increase your brain power. So, but it's just having the movie around. Because like when I have books around, it's like I'm gonna read those books. I intend to read Infinite Jest. I think most people do. I intend to read, what else is over here? Les Mis. Okay, I'm just pointing at the really big books because they're easy to see from here that I haven't read yet. Stuff like that. But it's the same thing for movies. Like I intend to watch Paul Blart 2. I don't have Paul Blart 2. That's the kind of stuff I don't really buy, Okay, well, let's get the Mars answer out of the way so that as soon as I finish it, someone else will come in and ask. As far as the physical release for Mars or the show, no idea. And someone just in the Reddit today was like, hey, is this a good deal? And they posted a screenshot from, first of all, it was a website called eCrater that looked like it was ripping off the eBay font, so that's a big red flag. But it said, Whitest Kids Season 1 through 5 on Blu-ray. We've never put out Seasons 4 and 5 on anything. And the first 3 seasons were only ever on DVD, And, we're trying to figure out stuff to do with the show, and hopefully in the next year, along with getting Mars out there, we can do something with the show as well. So we'll let everybody know as far as we know, As far as a physical media release of the show or Mars, man, they won't even put up Barbarian, and Barbarian was a hit, So it's like, it sucks, Because me liking boutique stuff and box sets and stuff, I would love a fucking cool. I didn't bring in my Jason box set, but the Shout Factory Jason box set is very cool. And I just like I just like imagine some company like that doing like a Whitest Kids box set with just like sick fucking box art, you know? Um, it would just be great. And I just don't think it'll ever happen. And, people, I feel like we're maybe starting to get back towards more the analog side of things. Maybe eventually society will get back that way a little bit. I feel like a true utopian style future would involve humanity accepting all the great technology we currently have at our fingertips, but also being able to step back and say, hey, some of the older stuff is cool. Real books, records, movies, whatever. A guy I know was talking about the Jetsons recently. He said, I'd seen the Jetsons for the first time in years. And they were discussing all these things that actually happened, like TV watches and different things like that. He's like, and the only weird thing was then George Jetson read a newspaper. And I was like, well, that is a future I would love to live in, where you have video phones and fucking robot maids and space cars and stuff, but you can still interact with the analog stuff you want, like a newspaper, right? So, does the Mars get a DVD release? I just talked about that, and I feel like you know that, but we have no idea. The way this works, you guys, especially, okay, it takes forever to make a movie. It takes forever to make an animated movie. It takes forever to make a movie inside the studio system. It takes even longer to make an animated movie inside the studio system. So we're doing that just with y'all's money, not with a studio, so it takes even longer, and then one of the guys dies in the middle, So everything takes a long time. And we appreciate all the patience, but also when people get really upset about it, it's like, well, we don't fucking owe you anything either, except the movie, We're not on a fucking schedule here or anything, so we're going to get it made. It is made, but, we're going to get it out there. And the step right now is you put it towards festivals and stuff, and with the hope somebody sees it and says, I want to put that out somehow, and then you go from there, So, very cool. Are you guys thinking about Mars merch to build hype? This will be my last Mars question, because that's not the name of the show. Although it is a movie. But, I don't know. That'd be cool, to do that, to make some Mars merch. We're historically terrible at making merch. When we finally did in 2020, after being a troop for 19 years, it kind of fucking took a while. So, I don't know. But I have seen Mars, and I very much enjoyed it. And for the people, there's some people who are being like, oh, latest kids are watered down for this, that, or the other reason. It's like, don't worry about it. So, anyways, yeah. And again, it's out there. We're putting it in festivals and stuff, and hopefully it gets in some. We'll see what happens. Festivals are very strange. You can't talk about what you're submitting to. If it gets in one, you can't say anything. They want to be the ones that announce it, So I can't, normally for stuff we say, you'll know when we know. I can't even say that. You'll know when people allow us to allow you to know. So, whatever. Tyler, aka Feroz, says, hey Timmy, I recently got a 4K 4-film set of the Toxic Avenger series. Those films were not meant to be seen in 4K. That's one funny thing about very lo-fi stuff being given these royal treatments. I actually haven't seen any Toxic Avenger movies. The couple Tromas I've seen, I was just lukewarm on, but I'm pretty sure I should see the Toxic Avengers. I'm sure I would really like them. So, Mythic says, watered down, what have you been watching? Thank you, Mythic, because I feel like even on this, like, we say some pretty crazy shit sometimes, and I'm, like, mean, you know what I mean? I feel that goes along with being not watered down, so, I don't know. Simon is asking, what are your favorite alternative Christmas movies? I'm going to get to that, too. I didn't know where to start. I wrote a list here. Talking about what movies we've seen lately. Well, the movies I've seen lately are also movies that I bought. Like I said, I like to try and watch every Blu-ray I bought. I've recently bought a bunch, so I've been watching stuff I own. So I'll talk about the latest thing I watched, which was last night. I got this on a sale from Grindhouse. It's like Grindhouse. Grindhouse is a label of movies, but Grindhouse is also the name of like an online video store, and they have a real store in Tennessee, I think. But anyways, I watched this for the first time. Holy shit. And that's not a pun, just holy shit anyways. I don't know if any of you have seen this, but it is a fucking trip. And this is from Arrow, and it's a British version, which is why the rating looks different. Okay. And that's why I got a region-free Blu-ray player, because now if I find something on sale and it has a cool cover, I can buy it. Doesn't matter what country it's from, you know? And a lot of great movies from other countries are all fucked up on the rights, and so it's great to be able to do that. Holy Mountain of Shit. Well, there is some shit in the movie it's the thing is like, you know, it's like I said this in my Letterboxd review. I put my Letterboxd down there in case anyone wants to check it out. But I said in that Holy Mountain, you know, I often stay away from like these very artsy, absurdist films that don't really have anything going on except just weirdness, because it feels pretentious, you know. But a film critic that I very much like, who's been writing about movies for I think about 25 years now, who I love, Outlaw Vern, and that's his website. It's outlawvern.com. He loves action movies and horror movies and like some spaghetti westerns and stuff. And he's always loved Jodorowsky, and talked about Holy Mountain and his other movie El Topo, which I want to see, which is like an absurdist western. But one of the things that sold me on it is Vern was like, well, this has like kind of a story, and it is like a movie. It's just fucking crazy. And Holy Mountain is that. It's like this drunk guy laying in a pile of his own piss covered in flies gets turned into a Christ figurine model, and then thrown in the garbage, and then eventually joins up with a priest who helps the guy turn his own shit into gold, and they collect several other people representing every planet in the solar system and journey to a mountain to become immortal. And that's like not... That left a lot of details out. Cuckatron says, have you ever seen the documentary about Jodorowsky's Dune? The last line of my review on Letterboxd is, I have not seen Jodorowsky's Dune, but someone's going to ask me about it anyways. So, no. But I loved it. I mean, it's very, very, very crazy, and I couldn't tell. I decided to be totally sober when I watched it, because I couldn't tell if I was like drunk or like took some fake mushroom gummies or whatever and was a little messed up, if that would make it harder or easier. But anyways, I really liked it. Someone mentioned something about Joe Bob. Well, I love Joe Bob Briggs. I've loved that forever. It's why I had Shudder, got Shudder, and still have Shudder. And every year around Christmas, he does a stream where they watch a couple movies. Sometimes they're Christmas horror movies, sometimes they're not. But he always raises money for charity during it, and you can get cool things. And last year, I got this, which is a Joe Bob beer glass. But I don't have beer, but I have wine. But since somebody, when I was promoting this show today on Twitter and stuff, someone said something about Joe Bob. So I'm like, well, I'll use the Joe Bob Santa cup. So pretty cool. But I guess it's weird to drink wine out of a beer glass, but whatever. Yeah, so, and like, you know, I keep up with movies in the theater a little bit. I have a daughter, you know, she's 12, so we see all the Marvel stuff, and mainly if I see a movie in the theater, it's something she wanted to see. If you watched Trailer Boys the other night, Sam showed a trailer for the movie Shift, which is a Christian, you know, faith-based film, I guess they call them, but it's like a sci-fi dystopian movie that's apparently a retelling of the Book of Job. And of course, it's in my town. I live in a small conservative town in South Dakota. We get all those faith-based movies, and so I was like, shit, I should go see it, but I just didn't get around to it. So, as far as other coming attractions I might be excited about, I don't know. I don't really pay attention. I'm very busy. You know, I'm busy at my day job. I'm busy as a parent, and then I just like watch movies that I have, or you know, watch stuff on streaming. I'm excited to watch some of the Christmas horror stuff Shudder has. They got a new one called It's a Wonderful Knife that looks good. I've never actually seen It's a Wonderful Life, so I feel like I should see that first. And no, I've not seen Silent Night, the new one. It's I doubt it's even here because it's made by a brown person and not about God. But maybe it's here. I don't know. But I've heard that one's okay. I mean, but if I'm gonna watch John Woo, like I have a cool Blu-ray of Hard Boiled. That's what makes it. That's why I don't always go out and see new things. But we still have Thanksgiving here. I would like to see that. I guess maybe Napoleon. The other thing that I like about all these genre movies, like Holy Mountain, is a little bit under 2 hours. A lot of genre movies are like 80 to 90 minutes, and so many theatrical movies now are fucking 2.5 hours on the low end. It's like, whew, man, no thank you. Timmy, have you seen Serbian film? No, I've heard about the thing that happens to the baby in that, and that makes me not want to see it, but I feel like my curiosity will eventually get the better of me. So I don't know. We'll see. Is Broken Arrow a good John Woo? I haven't even seen Broken Arrow, but that would be on the lower end. Good John Woo is not going to be one made in this country, A. Although he's made some good movies here. Namely Hard Target and Face Off, but good John Woo is stuff he made in Hong Kong. I haven't seen a lot of his newer output, but Hard Boiled and The Killer, A Better Tomorrow, those are fucking great, and it's, I just happened to, I got into like John Woo and like Chinese movies when I was a kid. The library here happened to have Hard Boiled on VHS, and I borrowed it from the library and watched it, and I was like, holy shit. Because if you've ever seen Hard Boiled, I mean, if you've seen American action movies and then you see Hard Boiled, it's like, boom, it's over. It's like, like I've showed it to I have a lot of brothers. I showed it to one of my brothers recently, and he was like, I think like half stoned. He's just watching like, this is just mayhem. And it's like beautifully shot, orchestrated mayhem. And it's amazing. Do you have the John Woo classic Mission Impossible 2? I do, but in a Mission Impossible box set. And we were talking about those movies on Trailer Boys. That's like I watched all the Mission Impossibles with my daughter, and like Mission Impossible 2, she was only about 10 at the time, maybe even younger, and was like, there's too many like slow motion parts and explosions and doves in that movie. I was like, wow, Dejan Tandu says, I first saw Hard Boiled because it came on the PS3 disc of this one game we worked on, Stranglehold. Stranglehold was fun, So, but anyways, the action in Hard Boiled is incredible. And so that kind of broke my brain towards action movies early on. And so I've never, modern American action movies are so often just like, hey! It's like, well, why call it an action movie if you're not going to let me see the fucking action? And, it's gotten better about that in the last 10 years or so. John Wick, obviously, they have great filmed action. Everything generally involving that stunt team. The Matrix movies have really great filmed action, obviously. I haven't seen any of the Fast and Furious movies, but I almost don't count that stuff. Those are almost just like, they're so big that it goes beyond the genre of action movies. To me, action movies is like a couple guys fighting, maybe with guns, Whereas, like I don't count like Avengers as action. That's like something else, the Marvel movies and stuff. So, but I do want to get around to the Fast and Furious movies. There's always going to be, movies that not everybody has seen. And one of my, approaches in being a movie dork, one of my things is I don't support shaming or being shamed for not seeing something. It's like you just can't see everything. And when I say something like I haven't seen, for example, this is true, I haven't seen what's that fucking National Lampoon's Christmas, and people are like, oh my god, it's like, what? You want me to name 50 movies I love you haven't seen? Because I could, like. It's just how it works, man. It's okay. And when a lot of people talk about a movie, I don't know what happens in my brain, but when a lot of people, when something is hyped up, it just goes to the back of my fucking priority list, And for me, it's the opposite of that. Like someone just asked if I've seen The Raid and The Raid 2. Yeah, have them both. Have seen them a whole many times. Sure, a lot of times. Also have the first movie that Gareth Hugh Evans directed with all those guys called Marintow, which is pretty good too. And I love The Raid too. I call it Heat with kicking because it's like the movie Heat, only they're kicking. That's why I joke that. Well, that's the other thing. Someone says Lampoon's Family Christmas isn't even that great. Well, maybe not, but I haven't always had the easiest time like enjoying Chevy Chase anyway, so I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll watch it this year. Who knows? But so that's one thing about my rules of movies is that I don't get down on anybody for not watching something. And if I ask someone, have you ever seen, like I could ask one of my friends around here, have you ever seen The Holy Mountain? No. I'm not going to be like, what the fuck? Because you'd have to be crazy to say that to anybody for that movie specifically. But for any movie, if I say, have you seen this? They're like, no. I'm like, oh, well, you might really like it. Which I feel like is a little bit better response than, oh my God, you're broken, So, because the message that carries, when someone says, have you seen this? And you say no, they're like, oh my God. It's like, didn't you know that everything I like is like what we're all supposed to be doing? It's like, fuck you, There's a lot of stuff out there to like, so just like it. As long as you're liking stuff because you like it, then good. I like you. But yeah, I love action movies. And again, I'll mention Outlaw Vern. However many times I do the show, I'll mention Outlaw Vern a lot. Maybe I can get him to appear on it, or at least by voice on it. He's not super big on putting his face out there, but he has a few times. But anyways, I started reading his website back in like 2003 or 4, and he just writes a lot about genre movies, a lot of action movies, and horror movies. And so, he wrote a lot about like action that's very easy to, well shot action, which is something we really lost touch with in this country. And like I said, it's been coming back, but straight to video action in the mid 2000s and early 2010s and so forth, really brought the fucking thunder. Particularly a guy named Isaac Florentine, who started making movies with Scott Adkins, who I feel like a lot of people know about now. He's probably the most famous straight-to-video guy, but he shows up in mainstream movies. But Isaac Florentine worked for Power Rangers, and that's kind of where he cut his teeth shooting martial arts, and he was also a martial artist from Israel. And so he made sequels to Undisputed, and they were amazing, way better than the original Undisputed movie. And then he made 2 movies with Scott Adkins called Ninja, and then the second Ninja is called Ninja Shadow of a Tear. And those are some movies that really started this like kind of renaissance of action. It was a direct-to-video where stuff was being shot very well. The stunts were amazing. The moves were great. You could see everything. Jean-Claude Van Damme got dusted off and reinvigorated and made some fantastic stuff. Dolph Lundgren did. Michael Jai White. It was just great, And then also the other people doing action very well at that time was East Asia, The Raid and The Raid 2. Thailand was fucking killing it with Tony Jaa movies like Ong Bak, The Protector, which is called Tam Yang Goon in their language, and Chocolate, starring Gigi Yanine, which is fantastic. And, so in the mid 2000s, I got into that shit very hardcore because I'm like, I want to see people. I love violence and I love fighting and I love the beauty of good choreography. And America was not doing that at the time, so, at all. In theatrical releases anyway. So, luckily when those movies started becoming a big deal, I lived in New York. So I was like, the very few times I got to take dates to things, I was taking them to fucking Kung Fu Hustle. I was taking them to Ong Bak. I wanted to go see this stuff, and it was fun, it's fun. And so, and then my mind expands and you start looking backwards, right, into things like I mentioned, John Woo, Hard Target, very well done action, and Jean-Claude Van Damme has a glorious mullet. And then not just enjoying well shot things, but then enjoying things that just were kind of fearless in the way they just go for their premise no matter what. A lot of 80s ninja movies did that. And a lot of horror movies do that, even the ones that people think are silly or bad or whatever, like Demons 2, which is an Italian movie I've watched twice in the last couple months. Is fucking insane. It's demons, people start turning into demons in a high-rise building. That's about as much plot as you're gonna get, but they take pretty much every idea you could have with that premise, and it's like you couldn't even make a sequel to that. Like, what would we do? It's like fucking awesome. I mean, a small boy dies and a monster hatches out of his back. It's like fucking insane. So, Dan Ballard. Yeah, I saw Kung Fu Hustle in theaters when it came out too. It was very great. A couple of questions I'll go back to. I'll get to that one in a second. Oh, Mythic was saying maybe they're excited about people like kind of shaming you for not seeing things. Maybe they're excited for you because you get to watch for the first time and don't know how to express it. Very good. That's possible. But like I just said, when I ask someone if they've seen something, they say no. I've said, oh, well, you might like it. Because you could just say that instead, you know? And Zombie says, love from Argentina, and then asks, you got it? Thank you. We've always had a lot of fans in Argentina. I love that. I don't know why. I don't know if we translate well there, or maybe a lot of y'all speak English, because in every other country except this one, people often speak more than one language. But, and Zombie also said, you got to check out When the Evil Lurks, a horror movie from Argentina that's getting a lot of buzz. I liked that a lot. And I also like that director's first movie, Aterrado, right? Terrified, which was on Shudder. Fucking awesome. When Evil Lurks definitely has some hardcore shit in it, you know. McNutley TV says something I'm going to rip apart and possibly ban anyone else that ever says it. McNutley TV says best kung fu movie is Kung Pao Enter the Fist. When someone says that, they're probably not being serious, but let's say they are. A, they've never seen any good kung fu movies. B, maybe like white people too much. Or, you know, what C, also, they think kung fu movies are all silly and should be made fun of, which is bullshit. And, I mean, if you, I'm never going to watch, I'm just going to say, I'll never watch Kung Pao Under the Fist. I don't want to watch that. I'll watch all the movies that are fucking from it, that he, like, makes fun of. You can't say he makes fun of if it's not fun, and it doesn't look fun. Anyways, but if you love it, go for it. But I'm just saying, I think it's wild that someone would call that, it's wild to me. You know, I'm trying to be very subjective, because a lot of people like to be objective about movies, saying this isn't good. Well, it's not good to you. All right, so if you think Kung Pao is the best kung fu movie, I honestly, in my heart of hearts, think you need to see a lot more movies. But if you really believe that, then good for you. And also leave your house. But you know, if you want to enjoy the tropes of a kung fu movie, you just watch some fucking kung fu movies. And holy shit, how long have I been muted? Wow. Okay. I'll go back to, okay, we were talking about Kung Pao being bad. I got so fucking activated. Oh, it's because I coughed. Titty Wizard says everything after and you can't, I say and all the time. Anyways, I was talking about how I don't get the Kung Pao thing, and it's something that I've never felt like I want to watch. And every time I've mentioned kung fu movies on the internet, someone says this is the best kung fu movie. It's a parody of kung fu movies starring a guy that doesn't do kung fu, and it's like he's just making fun of kung fu movies. And it's like, that's, how can that possibly be a kung fu movie? So anyways, I think this is what I was saying when I was muted. So a lot of what people, and that movie's just making fun of the tropes, which people are already doing anyways. It's like, hey, you know that scene from Wayne's World 2? What if there was a whole movie? You know, and it's like, pfft. But so if you want to see crazy, silly stuff in kung fu movies, watch a kung fu movie. And there's a lot of tropes that people, you know, like, I'm a white guy from South Dakota, so I knew about all the jokes about kung fu movies before I knew about kung fu movies, right? So I knew about, the bad dubbing and the ridiculous things they say, like, your craned fist cannot beat my tiger claw, stuff like that. And, the costumes, the cinematography, the sets, all that stuff. And there is one kung fu movie that I feel like has generated so many of those tropes. And there's a lot of kung fu movies you could say that about, but my favorite ridiculous kung fu movie is 5 Elements Ninjas. And the first 30 minutes of that movie are fucking bananas. And just about everything you've ever heard of that's worth making fun of in kung fu movies is in the first fucking 30 minutes of that movie. Minnesota LG says, I can imagine a kung fu movie based off of the Wu-Tang Clan. I can imagine too. The Man with the Iron Fist and The Man with the Iron Fist Part 2. Those were RZA's kung fu movies he made. I haven't seen them, but the Wu-Tang obviously takes a lot of their stuff from a lot of kung fu movies, particularly a lot of Shaw Brothers movies. But like, if your favorite movie of a genre is one that makes fun of that genre, generally you'll probably need to watch more movies in that genre. I would think, it's like, wow, I really like the stuff this idiot's making fun of. So, dive a little deeper, and you're going to find stuff that's probably way better than anything way funnier even than what that guy made fun of. A lot of kung fu movies that are funny on purpose are terrific. The early to mid 80s Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, and Yuen Biao stuff, they're called the Three Dragons. Of course, everybody's heard of Jackie Chan. Most people have heard of Sammo Hung, and then their third buddy was Yuen Biao, who's maybe more talented than both of them, but yeah. Anyways, they would make a ton of funny movies together, and Wheels on Meals. Spoontree, hello Spoontree, mentioned Miracle, The Canton Godfather, which is a Jackie Chan movie. Those other guys aren't in it. Miracles is cool. It's got some great fighting in it. The middle runs too long. There's too much story. But it's still very cool because it takes place during like 30s kind of gangster scene in Hong Kong. So it's a very unique looking kung fu movie. But yeah, there's a lot. The Last Dragon, I haven't seen that. Again, I mean, that's probably close to a kung fu movie, but that also seems, I think that's still more considered a parody. You want to see a crazy one? The Man from Hong Kong, directed by Brian Trenchard Smith. The main guy is Jimmy Wang Yu, who was kind of the reason kung fu movies became a thing. He was the star of the One-Armed Boxer and the One-Armed Swordsman, which were kind of the first big ones around here. But the bad guy in that one is George Lazenby, who was the James Bond that did one James Bond movie. It's pretty great. Would Power Rangers count as a modern kung fu? I think so, because they do martial arts. And I was just mentioning a director earlier who is very good at shooting martial arts fights, and I believe part of that is because he shot Power Rangers episodes. So it's like, yeah, and Power Rangers is crazy, sure, but like, when you think about it, and like, I was a little too old for that, but I'm the oldest of 6 kids, so like, I'm well versed in Barney the Dinosaur for some reason, that stuff like that. Like, I knew all about Shrek. And, just because I'm the oldest of 6, the youngest, number 6, his birthday is on Thursday, and he's going to be 29, and I'm going to be 43, so, please check out Donos. Oh, yeah, I'll do that now. Why not? See, there's no structure to this. Just me fucking babbling, and I do kind of want to get on. Okay, Doll Liquor donated a few bucks here for some reasons. Let's check this out. So Doll Liquor donated $5. Says, Timmy, I've wanted to thank you. You talking in an old stream about watching an unseen horror movie every day in October inspired me to do the same thing. Sending you my list and series of $1 donos if you're interested. The original Wicker Man is my favorite. Doll Liquor. Thank you so much, Doll Liquor. So I did that 1 year, a couple years ago in October, and I definitely watched the original Wicker Man as well. So fucking good. So I could read off your whole list, maybe. Should I go as fast as I can? Let me get a drink of wine here. Okay, here's the 31 horror movies Doll Liquor watched in October they'd never seen before. The Wicker Man, Carnival of Souls, Phantasm of the Beyond, Children of the Corn, House 1977, Tenebrae, 2000 Maniacs, Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, House of 1000 Corpses, The Devil's Rejects, Child's Play, Friday the 13th, The Void Cube, 2001 Maniacs, Terrifier, The Changeling Vampire, The Fall of the House of Usher, Friday the 13th Part 2, The Pit and the Pendulum, The Visitor, Mother of Tears, The Fly, The Hole in the Ground, Asylum, Village of the Damned, We're All Going to the World's Fair, Creep, Creep 2, The Thing from Another World, The Haunting, Phenomena, Final Destination, God Told Me To. Cool. I've seen a lot of those, not all of them. I haven't seen Phenomena. I always wanted to. Carnival of Souls, Doll Liquor. I don't know if you follow me on Letterboxd or if you've seen me talk about it, but have you heard my weird connection with Carnival of Souls? Because I just watched that for the first time last month as well. And I'll tell you the connection. I'll wait for you to say something. So, I don't want to bore everybody, but because I know I've told that story a few times. But, yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I'll just say what it is because it's real quick. So Carnival of Souls was made in '63 or something. It was an independent movie made by some businessman from like Kansas who wanted to make a horror movie. So he got some money and did it. And he shot a lot of it in Kansas and some in Utah. Maybe Oklahoma or Kansas, and the rest in Utah. So he hired this actress out of New York who I was watching the movie. I'm like, she's fantastic. And she never really did anything else. And then I looked her up. She's from Huron, South Dakota, which is about 90 miles from here, right? And she's obviously older now. And so I would mention that to my parents. I'm like, isn't that random? This lady's from Huron and is 88 now. And my dad says his stepmom, Donna, who's my step-grandma, a great lady, he's like, Donna's from Huron in 88. I'm like, oh. So I got in touch with Donna. She's like, oh, I remember her. Yeah, she was really cool. I was not surprised when she went into acting. She was definitely a born performer. So, pretty interesting, right? It'd be fun to, like, meet her someday. I don't know. But just be like, hey, South Dakota, there's other... It's funny, a lot of the other actors from South Dakota are just, like, hot people. I mean, me. But this lady is good looking. January Jones is from here. Catherine Bach, Daisy Duke from, Dukes of Hazzard is from here. Mega Babe, right? Both Mega Babes, all of them. One of the ladies, when Marilyn Monroe started the whole buxom blonde bombshell kind of deal, there was other blonde bombshells that came after her. One of them is from South Dakota. I think Mamie Van Doren. Bob Barker lived here. He wasn't born here, but he lived on a reservation for a while as a kid. I guess he was probably good looking as a young man, right? I'm sure. So, or as an old guy if you're an old man. Sure. But anyways, it's just funny. There's like a lot of hot people from here. Tom Brokaw? I'm sure some people think he's a stud, right? Minnesota LG says, my little connection is that my grandparents were friends with Gene Roddenberry, creator of Star Trek. And my great-grandpa had connections with Oppenheimer from Caltech University. Holy shit, man. Idris Elba's actually from South Dakota. Yeah, you need a new writer. So, yeah, movies. Let me see about my list here. Okay, so I've mentioned my Blu-rays a bunch, so let's talk about it. So I showed Holy Mountain. Okay, so these are... The thing is these boutique Blu-ray labels, and a lot of them you buy directly from them. But then there's also some cool indie, like basically online movie stores. Grindhouse is one, Diabolic DVD is one, Orbit DVD. Those are all really good. And Barnes & Noble actually has really good sales on Criterion, which is a great label that most people have heard of, and then Arrow. They have those twice a year, so I buy some from them. But so I bought a bunch of stuff from Grindhouse. Child's Play, which I'll be showing my daughter. She likes slasher movies. That's the Shout Factory. Umbrella, which is a cool label from Australia. I don't have anything else from them yet, but this is an Australian Blu-ray. This is The Tingler and The Mad Magician. They're both Vincent Price movies. The Tingler, when it was released, it was in the 50s and people were obsessed with gimmicks. And The Tingler had something... Like, it would mildly vibrate or shock your seat, and, like, the tingler was under you, and the tingler's like this weird, gross bug. And I saw the tingler in the back of a bar in New York. It was shown on film. They didn't have the whole tingly situation set up or whatever. Tingly situation is also what I call my dick and balls. But what else did I buy from that Grindhouse that time? This, and what's the other thing? Is it over there? It's over there. Okay. I also bought this British version of People Under the Stairs. Sam just got the American version, but I've never seen it. I'm going to watch it, but what a good cover. Look at that fucking art. That is so scary, right? So, The Holy Mountain, which I just talked about and saw for the first time last night. Fucking A. This, which I've never seen, I know I'll love it, and it was $10, so why not? Iron Monkey, Donnie Yen. Now, this is a British version. So that means Spoontree can back me up. He's British, and I'm sure there's some other Brits around probably too. That means 12 and up. Okay. And then this in a nice... Okay, before I show what this is, what I love about a lot of these boutique labels is they take stuff that some people may say doesn't even deserve a nice release. Like, for example, if a guy saw that Halloween was successful and said, I want to do that. And we're going to make almost the exact same movie. We're going to take the same actress and we're going to make Halloween on a train. And they made Terror Train, which takes place on New Year's Eve. And it's got Jamie Lee Curtis in it. And this is a very nice release. Look, it's got a cool slipcover thing. And, it's got a nice case. And I think there's a poster. Yeah, there's a poster in here. And the movie it's pretty good. That is not Gene Shalit. That's a guy in a wig. But good. It's supposed to be a Groucho Marx disguise, I think. But anyways, it's an all right slasher. It all takes place on this weird steam train that they, you hire it out just to kind of have a private excursion with your friends. And so they have their New Year's party on that. But the stars in the movie, though, the main star is Jamie Lee Curtis. One of the main dudes in it is Hart Bochner, who you won't know by that name probably. But you will know if I say this or do this, especially around Christmas time. So, Hart Bochner played Ellis in Die Hard, and he plays like a hot, young man, victim of the slasher in Terror Train. And then someone mentioned it already, David Copperfield, the magician, is in Terror Train. So it's, so that's what I love about collecting movies like that, is because some weird label that's on Scorpion Releasing is the name of the label that's on. And they wanted to put out a cool slasher. Terror Train hadn't been done in a while in good resolution and everything. So fuck it, let's do it, So they put it out, and now weird goobers like me can see it and be like, well, this is fun. And is it the best movie in the world? No, I don't think it's the best movie in the world. Some people do. Some people are so stoked about it, but I'm stoked about it just because it's cool. It's cool to have it. It's owning a little weird piece of movie history, and it's fun, The one we watched with Nate was Horror Express. Yeah, I got on Nate's case about that. He's like, I've seen that. Terror Train's a remake. I'm like, no. Horror Express is from the 70s. I'll probably own that eventually, too. I like it. It's Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, and they're on a train, and some guy brings aboard a frozen caveman that turns out to be this monster that, can hypnotize people to kill for him. And if it sounds sort of familiar, well, it was based on the book Who Goes There? And Who Goes There is about some scientists in the Antarctic that find an alien buried in the ground that can take other people's shape. And when that movie was first adapted, it was The Thing from Another World, which was in the 50s. And that was, the monster was different. It took place in the Arctic, not the Antarctic, but still a lot of similarities. Then they made Horror Express, which is the same story but on a train for some reason. It's fun. And then they made The Thing, which was the closest to the book. The Thing, and Who Goes There are almost the exact same story. So, very cool. I love that little run of knowledge. Horror Express is also technically a Mexican movie, I guess. Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee were down for anything. They're friends. They like to go around the world and shoot whatever fucking crazy-ass genre movie for just enough money to make it worth their time, Timmy, what do you think of Cannibal Holocaust? I haven't seen it, and just like how I said earlier, I haven't seen Serbian film. I kind of, it's hard for me to care about seeing something that's just transgressive for the sake of being transgressive. That's what kept me from seeing something like The Holy Mountain for a long time, is this looks absurd just to be absurd, and then I heard it wasn't, so then I watched it. And like Ash Tucker says, I tried to watch Cannibal Holocaust just to see the hype. I thought it was boring, and the animal cruelty was fucked up and unnecessary. See, I feel like I'll probably think the same thing. So those are what I got from them, and then I got, am I missing something? What's the other movie I got? Oh, yeah, okay. Anyways. Then I got some good Criterion ones lately. There's Being There, which is a great classic movie. Worth seeing if you haven't seen it. Peter Sellers. Hal Ashby. This I have not seen, have not watched yet, but I'm very stoked about it. Charlie Chaplin, Modern Times. Now, talking about Kung Fu movies, this is what you call a wuxia movie, which is, I think that's how you pronounce that, but it's Chinese, kind of more fantastical wire fighting. Crouching Tiger is probably the wuxia movie everybody knows about. But A Touch of Zen. And as far as the director's name goes, King Hu. What a fucking good name. Right? So I got those recently. I got this recently from Kino Lorber. That's another good label. Their stuff is bare bones, but they put out cool stuff. Live and Die in L.A. Fantastic movie. Okay, then talk about kung fu movies. I got the Shaw Scope Volume 2 recently. Arrow had a big sale, and Arrow accidentally put this up, which is like a $200 set. They put it up for $35. And me and several other weird nerds that paid attention to this at 5 in the morning when it first happened took advantage of it, and they fulfilled the order, because I'm sure they made their money back after that. But it's fucking cool. If you haven't seen inside one of these yet... What if I just whipped out my butthole then? So, it's got all the movies. This is the second one, so it starts out with probably the most famous Shaw Brothers movie, 36 Chamber. Then the sequels of that. And then a bunch of other great movies. These are good. These two are both very good, and I haven't made it through the other 7 yet. But it's got another famous one it's got on it is... The Boxer's Omen, which is like supposed to be a very crazy kung fu horror film. So I'm excited to watch that eventually. Am I excited for the new Godzilla vs. King Kong? Yeah, I'll probably see it. Yeah. I'm getting to be one of those annoying people that like doesn't care about big movies anymore. You know, getting there. Have I seen Green Snake? No. Mythic says I showed about 10 of those. See, Mythic and I have different opinions on stuff, but we are brothers in spirit somehow. And I would never... Like, I have no problem taking advantage of that, but also I wouldn't buy a bunch and, like, scalp them to people. You know what I mean? Relationship Smith says, it's amazing modern times. Keep in mind the tech they had at the time. Of course, you know, that's one thing that happens with movies too, is like when you sit down to watch a movie, it's good to kind of like, you don't have to know anything about it, but at least to accept that every movie's made under different circumstances, you know? Noob Doe says, why watch movies when you can watch a long movie, series format shows? A, movies are more fun. B, I have ADHD. Okay, moving on. You know, movies are made under different circumstances, and so it's important to, like, not hold everything on the same standard. One thing so one of my big movie rules, I'll try and get to all my big movie rules tonight at least. One of my big movie rules I already mentioned is don't shame people for not seeing something. Encourage them to see it. When I say I haven't seen The Graduate, by the way, I haven't seen The Graduate. People are like, I can't believe it, because it's a big deal movie. As a film student, I'm a movie nerd. It's important, you know. So I haven't seen it. And when people are like, can't believe you haven't seen it, that just makes like the list in my head of movies to see, that makes Graduate go, you know. Fucking don't do that. If you say I haven't seen it, and if I say I haven't seen it, and you're like, oh, well, you would really like to, check it out. You know? Yeah, Sui Hark is awesome. Beach that makes you old. I should see Green Snake sometime. I haven't seen any of the Once Upon a Time in China either. But so that's one of my rules. Another rule is, to me, that... Oh, which one of these should I say first? Okay, I think that... And I mentioned some of these with Nate the other day. If you watch Trailer Boys, you're going to hear some repetition. But one thing is, if I'm watching a movie and I feel like they did everything they wanted to do, then I'm going to be in favor of that movie. Even if I think some of it is... could have been done better. Here's a great example. Oops. And here's another cool label. The American Genre Film Archive. They find really obscure shit and put it out like this. Treasure of the Ninjas and the Films of William Lee. So William Lee is this guy, and he was a kung fu guy from, he was like studied kung fu and karate in Ohio. Moved to New York to learn how to make films. Moved back. He made a bunch of films. He still makes films. If you look him up, he's like older, but he's fucking jacked and has like dreadlocks, and he looks so badass. Anyways, this is made in the mid 80s, but so he wanted to make like a ninja movie, like, you see the American ninja movies in the 80s. He wanted to make a movie like that. With like, they spent like, I don't know, $1,500, but they spent like nothing on this, and it's shot on Super 8, which does not have a soundtrack capability. So all the sound is put in afterwards, and it almost sounds like he does most of the dialogue and the sound effects. Like when people are punching each other, it sounds like he's just going like that, you know? So it's but it's a labor of love, and even though it's God, I can't think of the word right now. Excuse me, sorry, I kind of got a scratch in my throat tonight. It's anyways, it's maybe not the most competently made movie, but you can just tell that he was doing what he wanted to do. It's like when they go to the airport, it's clearly the lobby of the school he was going to. And then when they get to the tropical island, it's clearly a park in the town he lived in, you know? So that's great. Another movie like that has gotten a very sick release and is more famous is Miami Connection. This is a karate club from Florida wanted to make a movie, so they got a few $1,000 together and made a movie. And then Vinegar Syndrome put out a just amazing... Look at this. This is not even a slipcover. This is a fucking box. You know, they do that. And then it has another slipcover on it. And it's great. And it's about a band called Dragon Sound that is also a bunch of ninja dudes, and they get mixed up with drug lords and whatever. You know. Their song is great. Friends forever, friends together. It's good. There's a whole thing in the 80s, especially, but even going back in the 70s, of dudes that were into kung fu or more often karate clubs that in different parts of the country, they're like, hey, let's get a little bit of money together and make a movie. It happens all the time. And a lot of those movies fell apart and never got released, or only released in a few places, or got lost to the sands of time. So those are both one, Treasure of the Ninja and Miami Connection. Ninja Buster is a very fun one, like that got like lost and found again. New York Ninja, which is kind of famous these days. Vinegar Syndrome put that one out too. In that case, the guy that works at Vinegar Syndrome found the reels of the film, and there was no sound and no script. But the footage, if you see New York Ninja, you can understand why just the footage would excite this guy, because it's like a ninja on rollerblades fighting like dudes with jock straps on their faces and stuff. It's crazy. So he kind of he was an editor, so he took the film and kind of pieced it together so it looked cohesive. Then he brought in a bunch of B-movie, like, cool people to do dubbed voices. So Michael Berryman from Hills Have Eyes is a voice in it. Cynthia Rothrock, an awesome kung fu lady, does a voice, stuff like that. So Relationship Smith says, if you were invited to get killed in an independent kung fu movie, would you do it? 100%. Does her daughter like ninja movies? I think so. I watched Treasure of the Ninja with her. She's like, this is bad. Oh, here's a perfect segue. Okay. She said, this movie's like bad. I said, well, here's the thing. I said, these guys really wanted to make this movie, and he made it. And he made it as best as he could. I heartily believe that. It's clear that he was trying that whole fucking time. And I didn't say fucking time when I was telling this to my daughter, but I told her, I said, I don't really think that... And some people laugh at me for it. I just don't think bad movies are real. I think, you can make a bad movie, all right? You can make a movie with no fucking love in it that is just totally devoid of any emotion or feeling, and you're just trying to, like, put a story out there for shitty, probably material reasons, Obviously, that's a lot of corporate bullshit. A lot of kids' movies fall under those descriptions. But, like, the so bad it's good thing, I don't believe in that at all. Is The Room bad? No, The Room is insane, but it is extremely entertaining to watch. And the reasons it's entertaining, none of the reasons it's entertaining were intentional on the parts of the filmmakers, no matter what Tommy Wiseau says. It was not intentional. He's a backpedaling little sleazeball, in my opinion, and he, tries to act like he tried to make it this, like, amazing black comedy. No, you tried to make, like, a cool movie, and you're bad at it, but that's okay, because it became this fucking awesome thing. So if it's entertaining for any reason, whether intentional or not, I just don't see how you can say it's bad. It's good to you because you're having a good time watching it, Punish Walrus, what I'm saying is bad. Like, why are we so hung up on, like, showing people that we can be negative? Why should we even fucking care about proving that we can be negative? Does it make you smarter to say something's bad? No, it doesn't. If someone says you have bad taste, it just means they hate more things than you do. You know, Troll 2. Yeah, I don't know if well, they call it best worst movie. I mean, Troll 2 was thrown together and it's not even about trolls. And it's like, it's crazy, but it's like, you watch it and you have a good time watching it. And a lot of the reason you have a good time is because you're like, why did they do this? Because, if you at least know a little bit of about how movies normally work, and then you watch a movie that doesn't work like that at all, I mean, yeah, you could say it's bad, but really it's just like, what? It's just like... Emin sure says, art is art and you like what you like for reasons you can't explain. The anime community has had this argument for years. Yeah, I think it's in every kind of art. You could say that, so right on. And Punishable says, I think there's a difference in an enjoyable movie that is bad and an equally enjoyable movie that's more competent. Well, sure. You could enjoy a movie like The Room, but then you can go watch, The Great Escape or There'll Be Blood or something that's considered really, really great. And yes, you get more out of it. You feel swept up in it. You feel emotional about it and things like that. But, like, if you want to just, like, drink a beer and laugh, I don't see, how that movie's bad. Then, you know what I mean? So, I just think, and if you look at my letterbox, I very rarely go lower than 2 stars. I just feel like if you just fucking get the fact that you just got a fucking movie out there that people can see, like, good fucking job. And so the only time I don't give you that benefit of that doubt is because if it's a big studio bullshit thing, So, but there's lots of different kinds of good movies. And so, like I said, I have 300 some odd different titles, which, because of box sets, have like 500 movies. And, like, I like all of them to some degree, Let's talk about this. This is Arrow Video Store doing this. Welcome to Enter the Video Store set. And this the first volume is Empire of Screens, meaning Empire Pictures, which is Charles Band, famous for Full Moon Pictures, which is like all those puppet movies and Ginger Dead Man and all those little things. Well, he was involved in this in the Empire Pictures first. Here's a big clue: Dolls, which Stuart Gordon, director of Reanimator. It's about a bunch of evil little dolls. It's a great movie. But these are all kind of weird little genre movies. Some work, some don't. Robot Jocks. Maybe it doesn't work, the storyline isn't super engaging, I would say. The characters aren't super great. The special effects in this, that are practical robot stuff, are fucking awesome, Arena, lots of great special effects. I think it won Trailer Boys not that long ago. And my daughter and I watched this and we had a great time. It's like, what's interesting about it, it's like... it's one of these things, like, I wouldn't call it bad. I would, like I said, I don't really do that. But, there's definitely the acting and stuff kind of is a little stilted and it's hard to get into it sometimes. But the special effects are awesome. And the other cool thing about this movie is that it's basically a Rocky movie just in space. There's not like a lot of I don't even think they go into space. They're just on a space station the whole time, Mythic asks, there's probably not enough to do a Dolls theme, is there, for Trailer Boys? I mean, you could almost just do... If you'd had a Dolls theme, you would see Charles Band's name on almost every movie that got shot. Thank you, Relationship Smith. What else is on here? Cellar Dweller, a movie I hadn't heard of. Very cool. A lady goes to an art school, little art collective that's in a house where a guy died. A comic book guy died while drawing a comic book, and apparently a demon was involved, and then she starts to get involved with the same demon. What's the other one on here? Oh, the Dungeon Master. The bad guy is Bull from Night Court, Richard Mull. And it's a very strange movie. It's actually technically an anthology movie. So, yeah. Well, Punishable Earth, you can count all the Puppet Master movies, so there's like 14 of those. There's also the Demonic Toy series. There's, I don't know, there's more. You can do more. The Tiny Tina episode from Outer Limits. Let's see, what else have I gotten recently? I'm almost done with the ones I got recently. Hellbound 2, or Hellraiser 2, Hellbound. Very good. I just mentioned these, but Demons and Demons 2. This is Synapse. They're another indie label. Very cool. Italian movies that light on story. Maybe not the greatest acting, but shot beautifully. Really great sets and just incredible gore and special effects. And just taking the awesomeness to the hilt. Like in Demons 1, people go to a movie theater, watch a movie that turns them into demons, okay? They establish, as the people are walking in, they kind of establish the different characters that are going to be involved, and they establish that there's this like kind of set thing up in the, like a decoration in the movie theater lobby that is a motorcycle with a mannequin on it holding a sword. You goddamn right. As soon as the demons attack, there is a guy who eventually uses the sword and the motorcycle. You know what I mean? And then Demons 2, there's like, it's in a high rise. There's a gym with a bunch of beefy, oily people lifting weights and shit. You goddamn right. They're throwing exercise equipment at the demons. They're fighting the demons. They go in a parking garage and drive cars into the demons. Like they get, like, even if like there's certain, if the things that you traditionally consider as being good in a movie or whatever, maybe might not be present in this, you know, maybe some weird acting choices or bad dialogue or whatever. But when a movie like milks its premise so well, I don't give a shit about any of that other stuff. You're going to make a movie about demons. You're going to have children dying and things hatching out of them. You're going to have they kill a kid and a dog in that movie. And which are both like, you hate to see that, but they do it and they fucking go for it, you know? And I mean, huzzah, you know? Kudos, whatever you want to say. But anyways, I just, that's a spiel I always get on, but I think, here's another thing that it comes from is when people say like that movie's so bad it's good, it feels like they are they have a subconscious, self-conscious kind of like barricade up that's preventing them from liking it for fear of being seen as dumb or as in poor taste or someone that doesn't know what's going on kind of thing, you know. So instead of just saying I liked it, they're like, it's so bad it's good. It's like, well, no, just fucking say it's good, you liked it. It's fine. You know? And I mean, listen, I learned my lessons of not caring about being seen as having bad taste by being in a ska band. So, you know, I was well past that by the time I got into weird genre movies. But let's talk about a weird genre. It's Christmas time. And one thing, and one of these days, I don't have the internet set up right now, but one of the, if I keep doing a movie thing, actually, I want to pause for a second. I actually need to leave the room for a second. I'll be right back. I got to turn the lizard's lights off. All right, I put up a poll. Anyway, so it's Christmas time-ish, getting there, right? I haven't watched any Christmas movies yet, but I'll get there. Someone asked if I like about alternative Christmas movies. Well, you're gonna fucking regret that in a second. But yeah, my daughter and I love to watch seasonal movies. We watch The Fugitive on St. Patrick's Day because there's a big chunk of it on St. Patrick's Day. You know, love to do that kind of shit. But so I like to watch movies that just take place on Christmas or even more Christmassy movies. And I have some movies. So let me back up a second. This is my ADHD taking the reins for the last 20 minutes. Sorry. I have a den with I have a den. You want to see? Come into my den. But I have a den with amazing wooden paneling. With bears and shit on it, and like deer and things that the guy who lived here did. And it's got like brown shag carpeting, kind of. It's amazing. It's a great place to watch movies, so I have it set up pretty well. But so I have a couple shelves in there with my Blu-rays, and actually, I don't know if I can get it set up right now. Let me see. So I have my movies set up like old school video store. I got labels for each section, but we decided to get funny with the labels. So I have like a detectives section that has Sherlock Holmes movies. It's got Knives Out. It's got some film noir movies. Silence of the Lambs. Also has The Game, starring Michael Douglas. He's not a detective, but it's about a person solving a mystery. There's also Criminals. That section includes like Heat, the John Wick movies, stuff like that. There's Scumbags, which includes, I think I put Fight Club in there because there's scumbags in that movie. Deadbeat Till Dawn. Oh, what's that movie's ex-wife is in that I have about the people doing weird fucking dares? God, what is that movie called? Anyways, it's on tip of my tongue. Anyways, things like that. Where the fuck did that picture go? But so I have a lot of different sections. And so we have a section called Happy Holidays and a section called Unhappy, not Nerve. That's not the name of the movie. What the fuck is the movie called? Anyways, we have Happy Holidays and we have Unhappy Holidays. And in both cases, so we have Chris. Yeah, the one with David Koechner. What's that movie called? Anyways, so that movie. And, okay, here we go. This is a very small, well, it's not a small picture, but it's a small section of my movie shelf, and that's before we put the labels on it. Oh, that's when it was organized by color, because I have a young daughter, and she thought that was what you should do. So so looking at this picture, this empty section here, on the right-hand side, that now has a shelf on it and a lot more movies, so. Cheap Thrills. Thank you, Andrew Demery. There we go. Anyways, I have that one. But so this is before that sectioning. But so we had the sections, and so there's Happy Holidays and Unhappy Holidays. So, but there's some movies I have that aren't even in those sections that are still Christmassy-ish. Dark Angel, also known as I Come in Peace, which is a Dolph Lundgren alien movie, takes place on Christmas. Edward Scissorhands, I have in the holiday section. Christmas happens at the end of it. So Happy Holidays is where you see the stuff you would expect to see. Elf. These are not cool, generally not cool boutique Blu-rays, just normal ones. Snoopy Christmas, because fuck you, Apple. That goes into a bit about people being like, why do you collect physical media and just have streaming? Why do you want billionaires to be able to pull the movies you want to watch off, or generally just decide what you see? Like some asshole decided their company should own all these. Fuck you, I'll have it myself. So then I also have Unhappy Holidays. So there's going to be some horror movies, but then you're going to have stuff like this, The Silent Partner, with Elliot Gould, and there's a bank robbery featuring Santa Claus at the beginning. The later Silent Deadly Night sequels. You want to talk about weird boutique shit? Vestron Video, and it's got Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, 4, and 5. Which, by the way, none of those are the worst one. The worst movie is Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, in my opinion, because there's not much of a movie to it. They mainly just show footage from the first one again. Yeah, Garbage Day, that's that one. Then the second of that movie, second half of Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 is more of an actual movie. Someone asked if I think Criterion's are a ripoff. No, there's only a couple of them. But they're great. They do a okay. Criterion are worth it, especially twice a year. Barnes & Noble does a 50% off sale. And Criterion themselves do 50% off sales a few times a year. So even though their movies generally cost $35, $40, you can do, you can get it for $20 normally. And they do extremely good transfers, lots of great extras. And sometimes they just kill it on the packaging. This is Dazed and Confused. Look at that. That is fucking awesome, man. That's one you always have set out. I always have it set out because it looks so great. So no, Criterions are fucking awesome. They do such a good job. And they're not pretentious. They do a lot of movies you would think pretentious people like. Like they do a lot of French stuff and stuff from every country in the world and weird little artsy things. Then they put out The Rock. Or they do which I don't have. I don't really care about that one. But, they do horror movies and stuff. They're great. Anyways, back to the Christmas one. So we have Krampus, which is good. And again, a lot of these are just normal Blu-rays, not the boutique ones. This is a normal Blu-ray that has a really great boutique style, collector style slipcover. Die Hard, that's a cool slipcover. Then one of my all-time favorite things to watch around the holidays, Deadly Games, also called Dial Code Santa Claus. And this is a movie made in the late 80s in France. A little boy is in his mother's mansion all alone at home, and a guy dressed up as Santa tries to kill him, and he uses gadgets to get away from the guy. Sound familiar? Well, a year after this movie came out, an American writer-director, Chris Columbus, made a movie called Home Alone, and the director of this film tried to sue them, and it didn't work. Oh yeah, tonight is Krampusnacht. That's right. I should watch Krampus tonight. My daughter's not home, though. It's not as fun when the kid's not around. But anyways, Deadly Game is awesome. Here's another, or Deadly Games. Dial code Santa Claus, it's also called. Christmas Evil, also referred to as You Better Watch Out. This is it's hard to call it a slasher. It's almost like a procedural for someone slipping into madness. It's a guy who works at a toy factory and is obsessed with kind of Christmas and stuff, but just gets he kind of gets crazy about it. You know what I mean? And he starts killing people. It's a great, very creepy, sleazy-looking Christmas crime movie. Then you go the opposite of sleaze, classiness. What's the pinnacle of classiness a lot of time? Great Britain. And Cash on Demand was a television teleplay, right? It's just most of the movie is two guys in a room talking, but it's a bank manager and a guy who just casually strolls into his office. Deadly Games sequel Funny Games that's not a thing, but Funny Games is cool too. Zach and I both auditioned for the American remake of it. We didn't get in it, obviously, but at the time I was like, man, what if we both got in it? That'd be amazing. Yeah, this is Indicator. It's a great British label. Cash on Demand is Peter Cushing is the bank manager and Andre Morel is the thief, and it's just classy as shit. I don't even think you see a gun in the movie. It's just this guy telling this other guy, we have your wife and kid, and you're going to go empty out the safe for me. You know? It's fucking awesome, and it's very short. It's like 70 minutes or something. The British version, like the TV version, is 67 minutes, and the full version is only 81, you know? So, but it's fantastic, and it takes place on, I think, Christmas Eve or something around that. So there's not really anything Christmassy happening in it, but it's a bank robbery that happens at Christmas, and it just feels right to watch it at Christmas, you know? But yeah, Peter Cushing is great. Then you got a regional horror movie called Blood Beat, which is, I mean, isn't that a cover? This was shot in Wisconsin by a French guy who moved to America, met a woman in D.C., and then like they started shacking up and doing acid together, and he ended up in Wisconsin with her out in the boonies, and they got some money together to make a horror movie, and they made a horror movie about a woman who is a painter and keeps this weird suit of samurai armor around that like gets possessed and kills people. It's fucking crazy. Andrew Demery says, wait, so if you were the little guy in Funny Games, that means you would have, yeah, the remote control thing, right? But anyways, that's a Vinegar Syndrome release, and one thing they do is every once in a while they'll put out randomly like a cool slipcover for something they've already made, and so they've made this awesome bitchin' old school comic book or like newspaper comic strip really cover for Bloodbeat. Pretty cool. But Bloodbeat's an absolutely insane movie. And then one of the fucking juggernauts of weird Christmas shit, Black Christmas. Love it. And there's 2 remakes. Don't watch the 2019 remake. I mean, here's the thing. I've been talking about how it's all about being subjective. If you like it, you like it. I didn't think the 2019 remake had a reason to exist. It felt like the kind of thing that the only kind of movie I consider bad, which is just cynical cash grab fucking let's just make it and get this little bastard's money. You know, it just didn't feel like anyone actually wanted to make it. There's an early 2000s Black Christmas remake, I think colloquially called 2006, thank you, Deja Antanu, Black Xmas, which is like, it's enough unlike Black Christmas that it's its own thing, and it kind of almost seems like it's supposed to be a sequel to it, but it's fucking, it's pretty crazy. It's by one of the guys who used to do the X-Files, and it's pretty wild. It's worth watching. It's very different. It's got a lot more Christmas stuff than the original Black Christmas. It's got, like, you know, ornaments and candy being used in the murders and things like that. So, I think that's all the Christmas stuff I had on hand. But I also like to watch a lot more. Shudder, this horror streaming service, does a great job with the Christmas stuff. So I'll watch some stuff on there that I haven't watched yet, like To All a Good Night. That's an 80s Christmas slasher. I want to watch that. Things like that. But, let's see. Well, I'm talking about my Blu-rays. I brought a few more here just to give people examples of why this stuff is cool. There's another British label called Second Sight that put out an absolutely fantastic release of Dawn of the Dead, the 80s one by George Romero. It's beautiful packaging, really great transfer and sound mix and everything. It looks and sounds fantastic, and they have a lot of extras and stuff, and it's really great. James Bond says, has anyone seen Where Evil Lurks? Yeah, someone from Argentina was in here earlier. We were talking about it. I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, it's great packaging. So it's like it's fun to buy stuff not from a big corporation, but from a smaller company that are people who just love the thing, and they love different kinds of things. They love things that the public in general might think is a dumb thing, and they'll take that thing they love so much and they'll just treat it like the best fucking thing that's ever existed, like Wild Things. And look at this. It's another beautiful, nice, big box. They got a poster in there. I'll probably never hang it up, but whatever. Just cool packaging, a nice big booklet about it. Wild Things is a fun movie. It's great, So I just love that someone was like, we need to make a badass release of Wild Things. Arrow put out a really kick-ass release of Waterworld. You know what I mean? That's awesome. I mean, there's people. Waterworld is like a big dub studio movie that was maybe a cynical cash grab, but I don't know. It's also kind of like Kevin Costner was just so into Kevin Costner that he's like, no, the world needs this. It's kind of great. So I love that they do that. They recognize movies that are interesting enough that need to be released. Radiance Films is cool. So far, Radiance Films has not had anything that I've heard of or know about. They seem like really obscure and arty, and where I don't really know much about it yet, but I'll get there. It's easy to find Phantasm, but one of the first things I bought from Arrow Video is a British release of all 5 Phantasm movies. I love the Phantasm movies. They're so fucking weird. You talk about a guy being able to just realize his vision as best he could and just make some cool fucking movies. Phantasm. I mean, Phantasm 5, Ravager, I really like. Coscarelli didn't direct it, and you can tell it's not as... it doesn't feel as well done as the other ones, but it's got some great ideas in it. You could tell they just wanted to make it, And that's what I like. That's kind of like... The first one is so rough. What do you mean, immature? Because I'm going to probably bite you in the face. Doliker, yeah, they're worth seeing. You do want to watch them in order because it's a whole anthology thing. Long and confusing. Okay, so confusing, I could see that because they're all very dreamlike. Phantasm 1 is 89 minutes long. So if it feels long, I guess that's on them. If it feels long to you, I don't see that. But if you, there's other 90-minute movies that feel long. I just reviewed something on Letterboxd recently that's like. I said it's 90 minutes and felt too long. What the hell was it? Let me see if I can find it real quick here. Oh, I just watched all the Saw movies. So it's probably one of them. Was it Masterminds? Did I watch with Nate for some fucking reason? No. Anyways, yeah, there's a few movies out there that feel way longer than they are. The Witch is a good 90-minute slow burn. Yeah, slow burns, Italy's good with that too. Those Demons movies, I guess, could kind of be considered slow burns, but I mean, people are getting killed within 20 minutes. So, I don't know if you could really say that. The Postman, I've never seen the movie. The book was good, and the movie's not really like the book. I've seen parts of the movie, not the whole thing. What I love about the movie, if I remember right, is he comes to a town, And there's a guy that lives in the town. Postman's post-apocalypse, but not long after the fall of the government. Like, people from our time are still alive. And so he goes to this town. And there's a guy in the town. Mythic knows what I'm going to talk about. Great. Yeah, I love this Mythic. It's so good. So he's talking to the guy, and the guy's played by Tom Petty. And Kevin Costner's character is like, I feel like I recognize you. What did you do before the war or whatever? And he's like, I was a musician. So he's fucking playing Tom Petty. It's Tom Petty as himself in the post-apocalypse or whatever. Fucking love it. Invaders from Mars, I've seen some of it. It's all right. Slow burn, let's see. Dark Pastor said, Wicker Man 73 is my favorite slow burn, and then it becomes a literal slow burn. Yeah, it's good. What else should I do here? I missed the poll. Did you guys generally say you want this? It said like 39 people said yes. I don't know if anybody said no, but not very many people voted. But that's okay. I feel like there's more people than that watching. Yeah, that's okay. Polls, for some reason, people are never paying attention. That's all right. You know what? How about this? I'm going to be done soon. I'm getting tired. But because the thing is, this is different than those other shows because I just talk the whole time. And I have to do stand-up tomorrow. Shit. I got to take better care of my voice. Anyways, why don't you guys, if anyone wants me to recommend movies, I've talked about movies a lot. So, and I don't like to act like I know stuff, but I watch a lot of movies, and I have a lot of movies. I have a lot of different kinds of movies. I like a lot of different kinds of movies. So, why don't, if anybody is thinking of a kind of movie they want to watch, see if I can suggest anything to you. Maybe I can't, but I don't know. Let's try that. I really don't know what this show's supposed to be except me talking about the stuff I always like to talk about. Any action recommendations? Yes. Give me a little bit more. Is there a particular kind of action you like? You want gunfights? You want older, newer? You want martial arts? What are we talking about? Popper says, when are we getting Nate on Timmy Talk? I talk to him enough. Any gothic horror recommendations, preferably in spooky castles? Yes! Okay, Hammer Films, the studio, made tons of horror movies. A lot of the time, they're making those movies because they had access to a castle. And so a lot of them are just that. But so Hammer, and then also Roger Corman in the 60s. His was it American International Pictures back then? They had access to a castle. So there's a funny movie. It's kind of funny. It's lighter. It's called The Raven, and it is based on the Alfred Hitchcock, on the Edgar Allan Poe poem, the Poe poem, The Raven. But it's there's been a few movies based on that. But the one from the 60s stars Vincent Price and Boris Karloff and Jack Nicholson's first role, I think. And it's spooky castle movie, and it's okay for kids, whatever. It's it's sorcerers, it's rival sorcerers, and so there's a lot of weird wiggling your hands and shooting things and things like that. It's a lot of fun. The Hammer horror stuff, the Dracula movie, the first one, The Horror of Dracula, it's a great spooky castle movie. The original Universal horror movies, great spooky castle movie, especially Dracula and Frankenstein. Let's see here. Punish Walrus, crime, gunfight, whatever. Okay. You want to watch a gunfight movie? If you've never seen John Woo's Hard Boiled, that's number 1 on your list. Other good gunfight movies, I don't have any in front of me here. I mean, obviously the John Wicks, but the 80s 80s had some good ones. Even just Schwarzenegger has some good gunfight movies, but I would say 90s had some great gunfight stuff. I mean, it's hard to get away from John Woo for gunfight stuff, but even Shoot 'em Up was good, there's some cool shooting in that. Dull Liquor, other Corman Price Poe movies, Fall the House of Usher. That's a great spooky castle movie, for sure. The Raid, yeah, The Raid is, I would say, leans more martial arts, but okay, you want a gunfight movie you haven't heard of? I'd have to go back and look at all my stuff. I mean, a lot of the Hong Kong, the heyday of Hong Kong movies in the 80s, they combine great gun action and kung fu. You could check out Police Story. You could check out Yes, Madam. You could watch Righting Wrongs. You could do... you know what are some fun gunplay movies? Is Andy Sedaris movies. Hard Ticket to Hawaii is his most famous one, but this guy had he was always putting Playboy Playmates in his movies, and then what's funny is always finding excuses for them to be topless or whatever. But it's funny because those movies, they all pass the Bechdel test, which means having at least one scene where two women talk about something that is not a man. They all have empowered women, often saving the men. It's funny in some ways they're almost like feminist movies, but they're naked, big fake boob blonde ladies. But he's they're like the heroes. It's great. They're fucking great. And I've only seen a couple, but they're fantastic. And I only watch them about 3 minutes at a time. Then I have to stop and get back to it. But no, they're very fun. And Hard Ticket to Hawaii is fucking intense. Not intense. It's crazy. There's a scene where a guy shoots a rocket, like a missile launcher, at a blow up doll. It's awesome. So, I'm a dude, so I don't know, but I do try and pay attention to, gender concerns and things like that. And when I watch those Andy Sedaris movies, I'm like, they're kind of pro-woman. Maybe he was so horny that he became pro. He's like, I love tits so much I became a feminist. Maybe that's me too. Maybe that's how I decided to support women's rights, because I'm like, I love them. I love their boobs. So everything attached to the boobs should also have rights. But Bittersweet Life. Yeah, Korea's interesting. Korea has some good movies, and there's always just wild tonal shifts in those movies, Constant shootouts are just having cool gunfights. And also you could go spaghetti westerns, and not just the Clint Eastwood ones, but those are good. But Bullet for the General. You could go Compañeros. You could go with Django. Those are good ones. 90s vampire movies. What I just watched. Demon Knight. That's a fun one. El Topo. Yeah, I was just talking about Holy Mountain. So there you go. Okay, I think we talked about the dark action movies. Okay, talked about gothic horror movies. Has anyone seen Millions? I've not seen it. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari for good old gothic horror. I would not call that gothic. I would call Cabinet of Dr. Caligari would be German expressionism, because it's definitely got goth elements, but it's very it's all angles and shadow, and it's very expressionist. It's not quite in reality, and it's basically everyone calls Tim Burton goth, but it's also that part of it, like Tim Burton has definitely seen Dr. Caligari, you know what I mean? And it's kind of hard, because it's not just these looming old castles. It's everything's weird and triangular and shadowy, and it's interesting. It's very interesting. But I mean, it is gothic too. Like I said, it's whatever you want it to be. It's fine. You know what I mean? I hate objectivism and with stuff that truly can't be, like art. Which movies are art? Even fucking Andy Sedaris' art, even The Room, I don't care, Have I ever met Joe Bob? No. Darcy and I follow each other on Twitter. That's about as far as I got there. Any sexy goth stories? Yeah. Yeah. Do I believe in degenerate art? I'm not sure what that means, but do you mean I don't know, those movies you ever once in a while will see someone like them on Letterboxd that was made for $6 and two people know about it, and it's they might have actually stabbed somebody in it, Trinity is my name and Trinity is still my name. I've always wanted to see those. Barracuda Druid. That's a good name, by the way. House on Haunted Hill? Yeah, absolutely. Now, in that one, I remember it's kind of a newer house, but I think it definitely counts as a big spooky house, you know. But yeah, most things with Vincent Price. God loved a spooky house. You know what's I thought was kind of boring is The Fly, the original The Fly, not the Cronenberg one. That one's great, but it just takes a long time for anything cool like that. It takes the thing with The Fly is the same thing with the original Universal Studios Mummy from the 30s or early 40s, whatever. Is you hear about it forever and then you watch it, and the thing you thought the movie was about does not happen for a really long time, and so it makes it hard to really gauge it. And so in both those movies' cases, I should watch them again. Now I know kind of what it's like, you know. And by the way, if you are wondering what I mean, The Mummy is not like a guy in bed just all the time. The original Universal horror one. If you want to see that Mummy movie, you watch the Hammer Horror The Mummy, or The Curse of the Mummy. It's got two different names. From the 50s, and that's Peter Cushing as the good guy and Christopher Lee as the monster, which they did all the time. So, you know, and now that I know what kind of trajectory the original The Fly is on, I'd probably like it better next time I watch it. I've always wanted to see Witchfinder General. I haven't seen it. Dolica said I didn't see a single Vincent Price movie till October, and when you watched a few, yeah, he's fantastic. Vincent Price. Our old buddy James Adomian does a great Vincent Price. Neil Breen. I haven't seen any Neil Breen. I think that would be, I definitely would like to do that. Watch some of his. Okay, so people are giving me... Okay. What kind of horror movie would you want to write, Timmy? You don't have to give plot, even themes you're into, setting. Probably a slasher, but with some weird angles to it. I have two ideas that I want to write out. I'm just so bad at sitting down and writing. But one idea is kind of a... I don't know, like a sci-fi kung fu-ish slasher. And the other one is more of a straightforward slasher with supernatural elements and taking a setting that is used often in slasher movies, but flipping it around a little bit. So, Hey, look, it's me, 33 says, first time on the channel. Can't say how much it helped to hang out with my parasocial pals every week through COVID. Thank you. That means a lot. And what's up with Mars? Well, it's done. It's made. I've seen it, and I liked it. So I'm done with it. If I liked it, then I don't care if you guys see it. Just kidding. It's but it's done, and it's being submitted to festivals. So then the next step is to get it into some festivals, hopefully. And then they, at one of these festivals, somebody watches it and says, hey, I like that. I'll put it out. And then we'll know what's happening with it. Whether it's going to go to theater, which would be awesome, of course, but it doesn't seem as likely these days, but whatever. But streaming or also unlikely but awesome. A physical release would be cool. So whatever. I think we're down with getting it out there, however, but, just getting it made would be fun, What movie are you guys talking about? I gotta scroll up and see what you're talking about here. Oh, Witchfinder. Yeah, I had never seen that one too. Great Grinch button or whatever that is. You mean this thing down here? That's the Ninja Turtles. Oh, this button. Okay, this is the... that's Freddy Krueger from a company called Pixel Elixir, I believe. And they do a lot of weird horror shit. It's cool. Hey, look, it's me, 33. I'll support it if it's a shadow puppet theater, so keep me apprised. Here's the thing about Mars, you guys. I can't personally keep you all apprised. And a lot of people, and it is a parasocial relationship thing too, think like, you need to tell me what's going on. Well, the way we see it, and especially, at least I can say for myself how I see it, is I'm going to tell you what's going on, as in everybody. I know it's just a phrase. And I'm not accusing you of being like that, but hey, look, it's me. It happens all the time. People being like, why aren't you telling me what's going on? You know what I mean? So I'm just explaining it not just to you, but in general, A hotline would be good, Mythic. You mean like an 800 number you call and just says, press 1 for information about Mars. And it'll just be me saying, like, just keep waiting a little bit longer. Okay, goodbye. But anyways, no, we love all the support. It's awesome. Someone asked for some more recommendations. I feel like I haven't done good so far, but the things I have the most in my collection are probably Hong Kong action, especially kung fu movies, and horror movies. And I think I love Italian horror movies. I don't have a ton of them, but God, I love Italian horror movies. They're just fucking crazy. Have you ever been to Custer Hill State Park? Yeah. In fact, in 2018, my daughter and I went to a fun event they have out there called the Roundup. So Custer Hills National Park, or State Park, has a very good American bison population. The park itself can sustain 1,000 bison. But bison get their fuck on, and they make babies. And so every year, they got to count them up and see how many they have. And they auction off the rest to go live in different places. Some end up on ranches and become burgers, whatever. But, the thing is they're sustainably keeping this population of an animal that once was about to be extinct. So it's cool. But so when they round them up every year, you're talking about 1,300 bison that they round up. And so you can go see it. It's the bison roundup. And it's fucking incredible. And we went, it just happened to be a year where it snowed very early, like September 30th. So the ground was wet. But normally when you go there, it's dry and it's warmer and you can feel the vibration of this 1,000 some odd fucking giant shaggy cows running across a field. Pretty cool. Barracuda Druid says, Casey's Convenience Store documentary would be a funny or cool niche cult classic. One of my favorite stand-up bits I started doing within the last couple of years is I live in a part of the world where they have a lot of Casey's. And I'm like, every time you walk into a Casey's, it's like a disaster just stopped happening. You walk in and the person behind, the cashier is always like, okay, how can I help you? It's like there's someone like mopping something up. There's somebody like putting the cash back in the drawer, like something like you walked in right as something was done happening. It feels like that every fucking time I walk into a Casey's, and I don't know. I live right by one. I go to one like at least probably 4 times a month, 5 times, 6 times a month, and it's like, geez, always, Dead End World says Giallo is basically Italian slashers whodunits. Yeah, essentially. So Giallo means yellow, and people started, and so Giallo, the reason they started calling those movies that is to refer to the yellow print books that were like sleazy murder mystery books from the 30s and 40s. And so Giallo movies are, yes, they're even just calling them slashers, they're actually kind of like what led to slashers. But then they still kept making them because it's a cool style, Giallo's always very stylishly shot, not super concerned with plot or characterization as much as like just getting a motive and a mystery going. And so there's somebody who's normally in a black trench coat with black leather gloves stabbing people. And then you eventually find them out and find out about their motivations later on. And often in Giallo, not to spoil a bunch of Giallos, but like a lot of times it's someone that's one that wasn't had. It's not like one of the characters you've already met is going to be them. It's going to be somebody else, and you find out their tragic backstory. There's a lot of them. I haven't seen a ton of them personally, but I love them. Deep Red is a famous one I really like. Blood and Black Lace, is that what that one's called? That one's great. The Fifth Chord is good because Franco Nero is in it. Franco Nero is the guy that played Django, the original Django, and is one of the most beautiful men ever. He's just like, his eyes, man. Whew, you can watch that guy do anything. And Argento's made a bunch of good Giallo, but what a lot of people see any Italian horror movie and say it's Giallo. Well, no, that's kind of a different style. The other kind of horror movies that the Italians are great at are fucked up ones. Cannibal Holocaust, people were talking about earlier. That's an Italian horror movie. Demons and Demons 2, I mean. Those are Italian horror movies. And the other thing the Italians are good at, besides the like creepy, stylish Giallo, is they're really good at gore. Like, they develop these ways of fake skin and blood where you see like a neck get ripped apart and you just see the tendrils and you see the flesh rip and you see the fucking shit under it just pouring out of the person. And it's maybe not realistic, but it's so visceral, like as in viscera, as in like guts and blood, that it's just, you can't help but just feel like, ah, you know? There's a scene in the movie The Beyond, probably one of the best Italian gore movies, where these tarantulas crawl over a guy's face and like rip the guy's face apart. I don't even know if that's what tarantulas do, you know, but you know, it just works. And yeah, really gory shit. And yeah, Demons and Demons 2 have it. Oh, what's Argento's other big famous one? Suspiria, you know, has some good stuff like that in it. But a lot of that is still so much of that stuff is style over substance. And I think, you know, we do get caught up on plot and plot holes and bullshit like that too much. And you know what? It's like, the films aren't like, it doesn't have to be done one way, and it doesn't have to just be a story, straightforward. Like, you know, if it can pull you along, well, then I don't care if like this character is wearing a red shirt when he had a blue shirt in the last scene. And that's continuity, not plot holes. But I don't care if like you know, there was something off about the character doing this when they would have, it doesn't seem out of their character, or maybe they were going to be doing this earlier. You know what I mean? It's like, if you could just kind of pull it along with other parts of the movie, other aspects of the movie, then okay, you know, I'm in. Like I've been talking about all night just because I watched them both this weekend. But Demons and Demons 2, I mean, it's you know, there's a lot of parts about them where you can be like, well, why are they doing that? Doesn't matter. What matters is, I don't care if the guy walking into this room was a bad idea. I don't care if the character had no reason to walk into this room. I don't care if like, I don't care. I don't care. Get the guy in the room so that this demon can pull his face apart and we get to watch it. And then he turns into a demon and he like pulls his wife's head off or whatever happens. You know what I mean? It's like, and so when you can like make that part of it so satisfying that you don't care about why the guy got in there in the first place, I feel like that's why Italian horror works for me so much. You know, it's more about like, let's just make the results so great that it, like, the intricacies of how we got there aren't necessarily important, you know? I don't know. No, a Dalek I would not call Suspiria Giallo. It doesn't have any of the aspects. So Giallo is really like a murderer and a mystery murderer. And like I said, very, very often, black gloves, black coat. Suspiria is like a witch movie. It's got some good gore in it too, but I wouldn't even call it one of the Italian gore movies. I just call it, it's an Italian horror movie because it's made by people in Italy, but actually that one's very international. I believe it's shot in English. There's German people in it. I think they shot in Germany. I wouldn't even call it a slasher. Like, there's no slashing in it. Some people die in it, but like not in slasher style, you know? But yeah, the soundtrack is amazing in Suspiria. Fucking Goblin, man. They also do the soundtrack in Deep Red, which is a great Jello. Love it. But, and you know, the weird thing about European movies too is because all those countries are mushed together. They're very close to each other. So like spaghetti westerns, a lot of those are shot in Spain, have German people in them, have Spanish people in them, French people, whatever. But also were produced by Italian companies, you know. Well, the other interesting thing about those Empire Pictures movies I was showing, like Dolls and freaking Robot Jocks and those kind of things, they're Americans, but they bought a studio in Italy. And so a lot of those are made in Italy. It's weird. Dizzy Death says, I love the music and Phenomena. I haven't seen that. I really want to watch that. Well, I'm probably going to wrap it up, but this is fun, and I want to do it again sometime. And I don't know. I mean, do you guys think there needs to be a structure to this? No structure. I agree. Okay. What is a structure? I don't know. Thank you, Mrs. Lippman's in the tub. You know, Mrs. Lippman's in the tub, that's when I realized maybe I have something to offer to talk about movies, because everybody else on our streams is calling them Mrs. Lippman's in the tub. Or no, Mr. Slipman's in the tub, right? Is that what they called you? But I called you Mrs. Lippman's in the tub because I know what it means, which is it's a reference to Silence of the Lambs. Someone a while ways up in the chat suggested that we do a club thing where we assign a movie and we watch it and talk about it next time. I'd be down with that sometime. We could figure it out. Sexy Penguin says, would love to do this with music. I'm the wrong guy for that. I just don't, I don't know if it's my ADHD or what, but I can't remember, lyrics and things. Zach and Sam and Darren all have very good minds for music. I think they should do that. And, the thing is like a show like this, well, sometimes on Self-Suck we get to talk about that stuff. But I don't know. This is just me getting able to talk without having to worry about being funny even, or without having to worry about letting the other guys say stuff. You know what I mean? Just kind of just going for it. Hold up 2 movies and say we're going to talk about these next week. Well, I won't say next week because you know how I am. I'll say next time. McSweeney's made a good case for Silence of the Lambs being a Christmas movie. I'll have to look into that. I Got You Into Ween. That's cool. That's a good movie. That's a good band. Man, seeing them live a couple months ago was fantastic. Great show. I'll have to look up that article. Okay, well, let's raid somebody. But I'm glad people seem to like this. It was satirical. Okay. And you know what? It seems like the viewership number has held, so I guess it's either entertaining or not offensive enough to turn off. But I'll take either one. So that's good. I don't mean offensive as I'm going to say some fucked up shit, but I mean offensive as being oh God, this is fucking lame, Where am I? Oh, Stream Manager. That's where I was trying to go. Okay. Nope, that's not what I want to do. I want to do this one. Everything Now show. Tell them it was me specifically that rated them, please, because they've been wanting to do something with me forever, and eventually we'll get there. But we're going to rate Everything Now show. So everybody have fun. Tell them hi. Be nice. And did I make the vid? Did I? What video? I forget what you're talking about. Hey, look. Okay. Oh, Self-Suck. Okay. Anyways, thanks, guys. I hope, and girls and everybody else. All of you. Y'all. That's my favorite gender-neutral term. Thank you, y'all. And have a great night. Be nice to Everything Now show, and I'll see you next time.